Lincoln High stood as a sprawling emblem of prestige and power, its historic brick buildings echoing decades of legacy and social hierarchy. Painted walls and glossy hallways masked the simmering tensions beneath, a battleground where social standing and privilege dictated each student's place. Within its walls, the popular thrived and the outsiders barely survived. Into this charged environment stepped Kesha Williams, a 17-year-old newcomer from Detroit, arriving on a scholarship that was both a blessing and a burden. Her presence unsettled the quiet order. Her humble clothes and calm demeanor marked her as different from the wealthy children who ruled the school. The students whispered rumors, measuring her with wary eyes. No one had forgotten what happened to new faces before who dared to defy tradition. Yet, beneath Kesha's composed exterior lay a steely resolve fueled by secrets and a haunting past. Lincoln High was more than just a school. It was a stage set for an epic clash of truth, power, and justice, and Kesha was about to step into the spotlight. Behind Kesha Williams' steady gaze lies a painful family history marked by loss and unanswered questions. 3 years before her arrival at Lincoln High, her older brother Marcus, a bright student with a promising future, died under mysterious circumstances. Official reports called it an accident, the result of drinking too much and falling from a balcony at a private party. But Kesha never accepted this version. Marcus' final letters home hinted at tensions and fear, describing hostile encounters and growing isolation. When Kesha later discovered evidence of a struggle on Marcus' clothing, it deepened her suspicion. The investigation had been closed too quickly, shielded by powerful influences connected to the boy's family who hosted the party. Driven by the need for truth and justice, Kesha dedicated herself to rigorous study, self-defense training, and deep research. Her transfer to Lincoln High was no coincidence. It was a strategic move to expose the toxic culture and those responsible for silencing her brother's story. Her calm and precise demeanor masks a fierce determination fueled by grief and resolve, setting the stage for a battle not just for survival, but for justice. On Kesha Williams' first day at Lincoln High, the atmosphere was as unforgiving as ever. Though she walked the halls with quiet confidence, the looks from other students were far from welcoming. Whispers trailed behind her, a mix of suspicion, curiosity, and outright hostility. She noticed the subtle ways the popular kids kept their distance, the cold stares from groups led by Tyler Morrison, the wrestling captain and mayor's son. The tension was palpable when Tyler's friends began low-key taunts, thinly veiled insults about her background and where she came from. Despite the undercurrent of bullying, Kesha remained composed, observing everything with the sharpness of someone preparing for a fight much bigger than a high school social war. Her calm presence was a deliberate challenge to the school's unspoken rules. That day set the tone. Kesha was a new player in a world dominated by deep-rooted power, and she was about to shake it to its core. Tyler Morrison was the embodiment of power at Lincoln High. At 18, he was not only the star wrestling captain, but also the mayor's son, a figure whose influence extended far beyond the school walls. Everyone knew his name, and many feared him. His reputation as a ruthless bully preceded him. His athletic prowess was unmatched. He led his team with a mix of charisma and intimidation. But Tyler's leadership masked a darker truth. He ruled the school like it was his personal domain, enforcing his will through fear and favoritism. His friends laughed at his cruel jokes, and teachers hesitated to challenge him, aware of his family's influence. Tyler had a particular skill for spotting weakness, and when Kesha arrived, an outsider with no allies, he instantly deemed her an easy target, a pawn in a game he controlled. But beneath his confident exterior, he failed to understand the storm that Kesha was about to unleash. From the first day, Tyler singled out Kesha as an easy mark. His entourage smirked as he used subtle jabs, whispered insults about her background and rough looks, to test her defenses. The weight of his reputation made the hallways tense whenever he drew near, and many students expected her to fold under pressure, just like those before her. But Kesha's reaction was nothing like what Tyler anticipated. Instead of fear or anger, she responded with a steady, unreadable calm. Her silence frustrated Tyler even more, fueling his cruel games. Small incidents, an accidental bump in the corridor or a sharp word in class, were twisted into schemes to humiliate her. This slow buildup of tension set the stage for an explosive confrontation, making it clear from the start that Kesha's presence would disrupt the crude social order Tyler controlled. Kesha Williams faced every challenge with an unshakable calm that belied the storms swirling around her. Her reactions to Tyler Morrison's taunts and threats were measured and composed, showing no hint of panic or aggression. While others would tense or lash out, Kesha stood steady, as if mentally prepared for every insult. Hints of her training showed in the way she maintained her stance, confident, ready, and ever watchful. When pushed, she skillfully deflected subtle provocations, signaling that she wasn't just another vulnerable girl, but someone with the strength to protect herself. This aura of serene defiance unnerved many, especially Tyler, because it broke the expected script of victimhood. Behind her composure lay years of preparation, self-defense classes, strategic thinking, and mental discipline. Kesha's calm was her first weapon, a silent declaration that bullying would never find easy purchase. The tension in Lincoln High's cafeteria reached a boiling point one afternoon when Tyler Morrison decided to escalate his intimidation tactics against Kesha Williams. Surrounded by a group of onlookers, Tyler abruptly grabbed Kesha's arm, attempting to twist it behind her back in a show of dominance. The cafeteria fell silent as the confrontation unfolded, every eye fixed on the unexpected clash. But Kesha wasn't just any target. With precise and practiced movements, she countered Tyler's move, applying a swift self-defense technique that caused a sharp, audible crack. Tyler staggered back, screaming in pain, clutching his wrist, his arrogance shattered in an instant. The atmosphere shifted instantly. The school bully was now the victim, and the new girl had seized control in a way no one anticipated. Whispers and gasps rippled through the crowd as words spread rapidly. This unexpected reversal sent shockwaves through the social order, changing everything at Lincoln High forever. After the shocking incident in the cafeteria, the school's administration quickly became involved. Principal Peterson arrived swiftly, attempting to assess and control the situation. While Tyler claimed innocence and accused Kesha of unprovoked aggression, Kesha calmly presented video evidence of his escalating bullying and physical threats. This shifted the balance of power during the confrontation. Word spread rapidly throughout the school and community. Students whispered rumors, some expressing shock and others newfound respect for Kesha's bravery. The usual social order was shaken, and the tension between students escalated. Teachers and parents began to question the environment at Lincoln High, while the principal faced pressure to take decisive action. The incident sparked conversations about bullying, privilege, and justice, marking a turning point in the school's atmosphere, one where silence could no longer protect the aggressor. Following the cafeteria incident, Tyler's pride turned into a burning desire for revenge. In hushed gatherings with his closest friends, he vowed to make Kesha pay, to reclaim the control and fear she had stripped from him. His words were laced with venom, promising consequences far worse than mere bruises, fueled by the power and influence his family wielded. Meanwhile, Kesha remained composed and unwavering. She anticipated the storm that would follow and quietly prepared herself for the battles ahead. Her calm was not submission, but a strategic stance. She knew the fight was bigger than a single moment, and that preparation was her greatest weapon. The tension between Tyler's threats and Kesha's readiness set the stage for an escalating war that would shake the foundations of Lincoln High. Beneath the surface of quiet determination, Kesha's efforts ran far deeper than any student realized. While the school's eyes focused on the cafeteria clash and whispered rumors, Kesha was quietly building a network of support and gathering evidence. She wasn't just reacting. She was executing a carefully crafted plan born from years of training and heartbreak. Behind closed doors, federal investigators had taken an interest in Lincoln High, viewing the school as part of a wider pattern of discrimination and cover-ups in elite institutions. Kesha, working in concert with these authorities, meticulously compiled recordings, documents, and testimonies, proof to expose the system that had destroyed her brother's life. Her calm exterior masked a fierce, methodical pursuit of truth and justice. This was no mere schoolyard fight. It was a strategic campaign against corruption and abuse of power, led by a young woman who had spent years preparing for this moment. Tyler's response was fierce and calculated. Unable to accept his defeat in the cafeteria, he launched a campaign to discredit Kesha, claiming her video recordings were illegal and violated school privacy policies. Gathering his friends, he spread rumors accusing her of breaking laws against recording without permission, attempting to shift blame and undermine her credibility. Tyler's arguments hinged on the supposed illegality of capturing conversations or confrontations without consent, hoping this would intimidate Kesha and silence her evidence. His confidence stemmed from his family's power, assuming the school would side with him regardless. However, Kesha remained unfazed. She knew the laws well. Connecticut's one-party consent statute meant any participant could legally record interactions. Her recordings were not only lawful, but a vital tool in exposing the systemic bullying and cover-ups that thrived at Lincoln High. Tyler's attempts to smear her only deepened the school's intrigue and laid the groundwork for a conflict far greater than anyone imagined. Federal involvement in the case was deeper than anyone at Lincoln High initially understood. Behind the scenes, federal agents were already investigating corruption and systemic injustices linked to the school and others like in Connecticut. This wasn't just about bullying. It was about exposing a pattern of racial discrimination, cover-ups, and abuse of power in private educational institutions. The agents worked closely with Kesha, receiving evidence she'd meticulously collected over years, recordings, documents, and witness testimonies revealing a network that shielded privileged students while silencing victims. This federal task force aimed to dismantle the protective system that allowed corruption and injustice to flourish, making Lincoln High the focal point of their investigation. Kesha's role was pivotal. She was more than a victim or survivor. She was a key informant in a far-reaching federal probe that promised to upend the school's deeply ingrained culture. As the federal investigation deepened, unsettling truths began to emerge from the shadows of Lincoln High. Evidence revealed a pattern of systemic racism and abuse entrenched in the school's culture and practices. Racial slurs and discriminatory treatment towards students of color were not isolated incidents, but common occurrences, quietly tolerated or outright ignored by those in power. More disturbing were the cover-ups orchestrated by school officials, who prioritized protecting wealthy families and reputations over justice. Students who spoke out were silenced or punished, while offenders often escaped consequences thanks to influence and manipulation. The growing awareness of these systemic failings sparked outrage and fear alike, highlighting the school as a microcosm of larger social inequities deeply woven into institutions. Lincoln High was no ordinary school. It was a symbol of a broken system that desperately needed change. Kesha's strategy involved meticulous preparation and a deep collaboration with federal investigators looking into systemic corruption. She had spent years gathering evidence, recordings of bullying incidents, documented racial slurs, suspicious disciplinary actions, and testimonies from students who had been silenced. Her case was not just against one bully, but aimed at exposing a culture of abuse protected by power and influence. Working alongside federal agents, Kesha understood the legal complexities, including Connecticut's one-party consent law, which allowed her to lawfully record interactions with Tyler and others. Every piece of evidence was organized as part of a larger investigative plan designed to build an airtight case. This careful, patient approach was a key element in setting the trap for Tyler, one he did not see coming but would not be able to escape. As the investigation progressed, the deeply rooted problems at Lincoln High began to unravel. The evidence uncovered a systemic pattern of racial discrimination, harassment, and abuse tolerated by the administration. It was revealed that students of color frequently faced hostility and unequal treatment, while complaints were routinely ignored or dismissed to protect the school's image. Corrupt administrators were found to have actively covered up incidents, silenced victims, and shielded privileged students from consequences. This culture of impunity created an unsafe environment where injustice thrived in plain sight, affecting generations of students. The revelations shocked the community and sparked calls for accountability and urgent reform, exposing Lincoln High as a symbol of a broken educational system in desperate need of change. In a powerful public confrontation, Kesha stepped into the spotlight to expose the truth behind the school's facade. Surrounded by students, teachers, and local media, she presented the meticulously gathered evidence of bullying, systemic racism, and corruption that had been hidden for so long. Screens displayed damning videos and documents, while Kesha's steady voice filled the auditorium, telling the story of injustice, pain, and the long fight for justice. Tyler's attempt to publicly humiliate her backfired spectacularly. Instead of backing down, Kesha's poise and facts overwhelmed the crowd. Whispers of disbelief and support spread quickly as students and faculty alike confronted the ugly reality that had been swept under the rug for years. This event marked a seismic shift. Kesha wasn't just a victim anymore. She had become a beacon of truth and courage, and Lincoln High faced its reckoning in full view of the community. Tyler's arrest marked the climax of the upheaval that rocked Lincoln High. After Kesha's powerful public exposure of his bullying and the systemic corruption protecting him, the pressure on the mayor's son became unbearable. Federal agents, armed with irrefutable evidence, moved swiftly, arresting Tyler on charges related not only to assault but also complicity in a broader network of abuse and cover-ups. The fallout didn't spare his powerful father, the town's mayor, who was also taken into custody, accused of using his influence to obstruct justice and protect his son. The arrest sent shockwaves through the community, challenging long-standing assumptions about power and privilege. For Tyler, it was a devastating fall from grace. For the school and town, a reckoning and the beginning of long-overdue reform. In the wake of Tyler's arrest and the revelations about systemic abuse, Lincoln High began a comprehensive transformation. New leadership stepped in with a clear mandate to dismantle the culture of discrimination and corruption that had taken root. The former principal and complicit staff were replaced by administrators committed to equity and accountability. The school launched rigorous anti-discrimination programs designed to educate students and staff about diversity, inclusion, and respect. Workshops and seminars on cultural sensitivity and social justice became mandatory, fostering a new school climate where all students were encouraged to speak out against injustice. Student support systems were revamped, offering counseling and safe spaces for those affected by bullying and discrimination. These reforms marked the beginning of a hopeful future for Lincoln High, aiming to build a truly inclusive and supportive educational environment for generations to come. Kesha's transformation from a determined student to a young FBI agent and justice advocate was a result of years of dedication and preparation. After the high-impact events at Lincoln High, she continued her pursuit of truth and justice by undertaking rigorous training required to join the FBI, a demanding path that included passing physical fitness tests, background checks, and an intensive 20-week basic field training course at the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia. Her training covered essential skills such as law, ethics, forensic science, behavioral analysis, firearms handling, and operational tactics. Parallel to her field readiness, Kesha honed her investigative and leadership skills, readying herself to tackle systemic abuses wherever they existed. Today, as one of the youngest FBI agents specializing in hate crime investigations in educational institutions, Kesha's journey is a powerful testament to her resilience and unwavering commitment to fight for others who cannot fight for themselves. Kesha's journey of transformation culminated in her becoming a young FBI agent and fierce advocate for justice. Following the turmoil at Lincoln High, she embraced a path far beyond the typical academic route, driven by purpose and the memory of her brother Marcus. Her acceptance into the FBI came after rigorous training, physically, mentally, and ethically, preparing her to confront systemic injustices on a larger scale. Specializing in investigating hate crimes and institutional abuses, Kesha dedicated her career to fighting the very kinds of corruption and discrimination that once threatened her. Her story became a beacon of hope, inspiring others to stand up, seek justice, and never back down in the face of oppression. Kesha's transformation was not only personal, but symbolic, a light breaking through the darkness for future generations.